Hat for Mrs. Goldman, a story about knitting and love by Michelle Edwards and illustrated by G. Brian Karras. When Sophia was a tiny baby, Mrs. Goldman next door knit her a tiny baby hat to keep her warm. Now that Sophia is older, she visits Mrs. Goldman to help her while she knits her hats. Mrs. Goldman makes all kinds of hats. Hats for tiny babies, hats for small, medium, and large friends and neighbors. Mrs. Goldman explains to Sophia that keeping kepis warm is her mitzvah. Kepis, she explains, are our heads, and a mitzvah is a good deed. One day, Sophia and Mrs. Goldman bundle up to take Mrs. Goldman's dog Fifi on a walk. Sophia puts on her kitten hat and matching mittens, and Fifi wears his dinosaur sweater, all knitted by Mrs. Goldman. But while they are walking and the cold wind starts to blow, Sophia can't help but notice that something is missing. When Sophia got home that night, she worried about Mrs. Goldman's kepi. She worried about who would knit a hat to keep hers warm. She started to think back about last year when Mrs. Goldman taught Sophia how to knit. Sophia tried and tried until she decided that maybe she preferred to just make the pom-poms for the hats that Mrs. Goldman knitted. And though Sophia was very happy making the pom-poms for Mrs. Goldman's hats, every time they went for a walk in the cold weather, Sophia kept thinking about what was missing. And so Sophia begins her own journey to discover her own mitzvah, to find out if Sophia's struggles end in success or in tragedy, and to find out all the things she learns about giving and love. You'll have to read A Hat for Mrs. Goldman.